Hi guys, Brexit Hardman Steve Baker, it seems, has thrown his hat into the ring before the fight has even been announced. A pretty terrible attempt to undermine the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who's officially fighting an election campaign to either win, well that's the official line, of course we know it's a lost cause, or at least to come second and be the official opposition. But why wait for Rishi Sunak to either lose his seat or just get kicked out of the role as party leader? The former ERGer Baker was talking up his experience both inside and outside politics when he appeared on the Sophy Ridge show. Incidentally, he didn't mention his work with Lehman Brothers.
You're not ruling out a leadership run, are you?
I would not rule it out.
If the stars aligned.
The reality is that my colleagues have sent for me before the referendum, after the referendum, during COVID and over net zero. And on all four occasions, I've led actual MPs to a great degree of success. And I wouldn't mind the chance to do it again.
So you've got the leadership instincts in your mind?
I've got 30 years of leadership experience in the armed forces, in the private sector, in Parliament and in government. And I think people can observe that the things which I do are successes. Whether it's Northern Ireland, when I was a Brexit minister, people thought Euratom would be a disaster. It was no problem by the time I'd finished with it. And I'm afraid I don't wish to seem boastful, but people can see that my record is one of success. It might sometimes be tricky getting through things, but, I do know how to get colleagues through difficult moments and crises through to success. But as I repeat, I really emphasise I have to take things one thing at a time.
Sounds a bit like a pitch to me, though.
Well, you forced me onto the territory, and if you force me onto the territory, I'll give you a straight answer, as I always do. But I am fed up with watching a sequence of people be extreme on one talent or another. Just ideology alone is not enough, nor charisma alone. What we need to do is have somebody who's, as I say, professionally competent, consistent, positive, and can lead people with a degree of track record. So we'll see what happens. But let me be clear, I didn't come on this programme to launch a leadership bid.
I understand.
Oh my goodness, he sounds like he's doing a job interview for Prime Minister or something. It's when he talks about him leading colleagues to success, of course he's talking about the ERG, when he was leading the ERG or organising the ERG. And if you want to call them successes, okay, we call them successes at the beginning of the Brexit saga. But towards the end, he wasn't even able to organise a piss-up in a brewery when it came to gathering members of the ERG together to vote against the government, to rebel. So at the beginning of the Brexit saga, yes, we can mark up a few of those as successes if we're being kind. But towards the end, it was a spent force. And the ERG has pretty much no power now anyway. So I'm not sure why he's running on that ticket. But we must also remember that there's a frigging general election campaign taking place at the moment, and there is already a Conservative leader, that being Rishi Sunak. So I don't know why he's talking about becoming a leader of the Conservative Party, or there's talk of it now. Well, but also it could be a bit of a problem for Steve Baker, because in order to be leader of the Conservative Party, it would help being an MP. Now, of course, he's an MP at the moment, or he's a candidate, and he's held on to his seat in the past. But if we look at 2019, he won the seat, he held on to the seat with a majority of 4,214. Now, by-elections are not a barometer for the general election, but we've seen majorities of over 20,000 being overturned at by-elections. And there are other problems. If we look at the 2024 candidates, there's also the Reform UK candidate, which of course is going to split the right-wing vote and damage Steve Baker, unless he's able to convince them to step aside or support him or something. But they're also probably going to see tactical voting between the Liberal Democrats and the Labour Party. So as Labour came pretty close at the last election in 2019, there's a good chance, I believe, that Labour could win the seat. And then Steve Baker won't have to worry about boasting about becoming leader of the Conservative Party. But I want to go back to Rishi Sunak for a moment, because what's going to happen with Rishi Sunak? Well, he could lose his seat and we could see a real Portello moment. Or I think what's more likely is that he will hold on to his seat because he's been pouring huge amounts of resources into it, money and getting people knocking on doors. So I think it's more likely that Rishi Sunak will hold on to that seat, but he will resign immediately after the results come in for the general election, the day after or a few days later. Or he may remain in place until there's a new leader found. But it's likely that he will go or announce he's going very soon after the results come in. He can't stay on. And then what will happen? Well, if you have somebody like Steve Baker, then of course you're going to see the party move further to the right. And I think, as I've mentioned before, and I've said this before, even long before there was any announcement of a general election, the right of the party want to turn Rishi Sunak into a scapegoat. They want to blame him for the election failure and say that he wasn't conservative enough, he wasn't right-wing enough, and what's necessary going forward is somebody who is a true conservative. And if they win out, then the Conservatives will remain in opposition, maybe not even official opposition, for the foreseeable future, the remainder of the decade probably. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.